So we're talking about psychic vampirism and a little bit about how it affects everyone. Psychic vampirism is quite the epidemic because people are so drained of their own pranic energy, their own life force energy, chi, right? And because they are spiritually drained, they do things to gain more energy because they don't know how to gain the energy from their own soul source, the current flow of spiritual chi that comes from your life force energy from the other side. This is where you should be getting your energy. It's called energy downloads. However, too many people go ahead and start pulling from their environment and from other people. Right? So there's the normal psychic vampire, which is somebody that's super negative. Most of the time they're weak spiritually. So they pull from other people by lashing out a lot. You might be driving down the road and someone is just, for no reason really, cutting you off and doing mean things to you. That's a psychic vampire. They're low on their own spiritual essence. And so they look for it elsewhere. So they're trying to go ahead and okay, so if you've ever read Celestine Prophecy, you know what I'm talking about here. Celestine Prophecy, they talk about how, if you can see energy, you can see how people pull from each other and how it exchanges and everything. It's almost like if you look at our world digitally, like if you look at us, like we are almost like a Tetris, right? We're all these like little energies that are just like mixing and mingling, and so that's why if you have sex with someone, you exchange energy. You get a part of that person's essence, and nothing is permanent in this world. Everything is very energetic, very flowy, like very watery, right? Etheric energy is very watery-like. So when you connect with another person, you're exchanging energy. A little bit of your energy might go to that person, some of their energy might go to you, and that's how we get all the leeches and all the stuff, in our own energy field, because it's really never just your own energy field. It's an energy field, but it's not necessarily just your own, because energy just exchanges, right, all of the time. So when you get around someone that is very negative and they're lashing out, the reason they're doing that is because they don't know how to download their own energy, so they're pulling from you. They're pulling from their environment. They should go out and do a nature hike and pull from, the environment that way. That would be more healing, and the sun. But when they're low and they're usually sitting around their house angry and just watching television, eating chips, they start really pulling from other people. It's a life force energy that we all have, and if you do meditation work, you are constantly downloading your own energy. You're downloading from your soul source, from the current. Okay. Now, if you see a family that fights a lot, what they're doing is and this is Celestine Prophecy stuff, right? If you've ever never read that book, you really should. But you'll see like two people in a family, for instance, and they're just fighting. Like this person's lashing out at this person, and this person's lashing out. And the reason it keeps going back and forth is because they're pulling energy, and then they're pulling energy, and then they're pulling. And so everybody just feels very imbalanced. So they're constantly pulling from each other, right? And there's a lot of codependent relationships that are like that. And it can happen with anyone. Or if you've ever seen an abused child or an abused animal, they're abused because that person is very low energy. They don't have enough of their own energy. They're very spiritually drained. And so they don't know how to get their own spiritual energy. The only way they know how to do it is to pull from, children, animals, things that are helpless to them. So they'll pull from their essence, and they'll traumatize them, and then they'll screw up their entire, lifetime here because they're pulling from them. It's psychic vampirism. That's how we get attachments too. I know Gabriel was mentioning that in Vibe Tribe the other day. When you get connected to someone, right? Because our energy, and my tattoo is the atom, and to me that's a vortex. It's all about energy. Everything's energy. So when you connect to someone emotionally, physically, psychically, however you connect, you're connecting. right? That's energy that's connecting. This isn't some like, oh, I'm just a physical being over here. We are actually connecting energetically. And so you develop these connections, these energetic pranic connections. And if you have a major block going on, a lot of times that's because you have somebody else's energy too much in yours. So you might be feeling like if they're anxious or they're being negative or whatever, you're probably feeling that off of them. And I know that Jim Leary, he's a medical Qigong master, he pulls those things out of people. You know, he helps cut cords. You know, shamans do this a lot of times. Medical Qigong is shamanism, but from a different culture, right? Medical Qigong comes from, you know, the Asian practices, whereas shamanism comes from more the Native American type of cultures and stuff over here. So cutting cords it's a lot more difficult than what a lot of people realize. Okay, so let me give you some examples of my life, all right? Because I've done a lot of this work and I've been around a lot of healers and that do some pretty crazy stuff. I connected with someone a few years ago, and he lived in another country, and we had a relationship going on. Now, I could feel him. So I knew right before he was ever going to contact me, I knew what he had going on. I knew if he was, you know, having sex with someone else. So anyways, I could feel things off of him because I just connected with him. And I decided to connect with him. And at one point, I could feel him, you know, having sex with someone else. And I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to go ahead and cut this off. And so what you do, if you want to connect, you know what, you want to do a little bit of disconnect, all you do is you take your hand, right, and you just go down and you just envision that all cords are being cut between you and that other person. That intention helps to release some of that, right? So I felt way better after I did that. However, it runs a lot deeper than that, okay? That can be very difficult to do, especially if it's very ingrained within your own energy field. Usually you need to go to someone that's a specialist, that's very strong and powerful in removing these things, right? Teresa Crabtree does this remotely. You could have Teresa Crabtree do this. Jim Leary does this. He does it in a physical way, so I don't know if he does that remotely at all. But Jim Leary, I'll tell you the Jim Leary story. I'm a Reiki master, and I attuned someone to Reiki. And so Reiki is energy work. So what I did was I, tapped the symbols into his chakras, and, he put his hands on my back, and I immediately felt this connection. And I was not attracted to this person at all. But once he connected with me, all of a sudden, it was this really weird attraction that didn't make any sense. And it went on for a couple of years where we both felt it, and we even talked about it. Like, he came to me and said, what's this tubal connection thing between our chest? And he didn't know anything about this stuff, really. I mean, he was just getting interested in it. He was very young. So I said, I don't know. I've never had this type of thing. And so I eventually, a few years down the road, because we were friends and we knew each other, I went to Jim Leary. I met Jim Leary, and I went to one of his Qigong classes. And I asked him, hey, what is this that I have with this person? And he explained to me that that's a past life reconnect through chakras, right? It's a cord. It was a huge cord. It felt like this, right? So he said, well, there's a couple of things we can do. And he said, one of the things is you can come to my place and I will remove it. And I said, okay, yes, I'm going to be there because I want this thing removed. Because every time I would get around this person, it would get very intense in this pull, So I went to his place, and he did the energy work on me, and a medical Qigong master will go through your body and do energy work and pull things out of you, pull leeches out of you from other people, and he did. He pulled that, he disconnected it, it was gone after that. There was other leeches in me. They're like energetic leeches from other people from having sex, or it can also be just emotional connections. People that will, be vampires and pull energy, and then their negative energy gets into you and stuff. So there's a lot of different energy things that can happen. Because if you look at the world in the way of the atom, if you look at the world in the way of energy, you'll understand this a lot better. Look at it like a computer. You ever had a computer that was like fragmented, right? And you had to defragment the computer? That's very similar to you, right? This reality is very holographic. It's very technological from the perspective of technology today. You can look at it in a technological view. Anyways, so energy vampires will typically feed off of other people. And, you know, I've had people feed off of me, and because I'm always downloading my own energy, I keep vamping it back up, and they would keep pulling. And eventually I've had to cut a whole lot of people out of my life, and that's really one of the best ways to do it. You know, everything is law of attraction, right? Everything in this world is based on that whole law of attraction idea, where like energies attract like energies. And yes, if you're attracting an energy vampire, you have the same energies as that person. It doesn't mean you have the low energy that that person has. You have the same frequency as that person, same type of energy, right? So you might be dealing with feeling abandoned, right? And having a lot of fear, feeling out of control in your life. And maybe that person has the same issues. You know, a lot of times energy vampires, when they're a serious energy vampire, they're martyrs. Usually they're very self-involved, very narcissistic in the way of, oh me, oh God, pitiful me, oh poor me. And so they'll start pulling from everybody that they can because they feel like they deserve it. And it's not a conscious thing. They just feel like unconsciously, it's like this whole, you know, repressed issue where they don't want to actually fess up to the fact that they're ruining their own lives, and they like to blame other people and have other people feel bad for them and pitiful for them, you know, pity for them, and also guilt and all of that. They'll play the guilt thing, right? So that's like, there's true energy vampires that are like serious energy vampires, and then there's energy vampirism, which is pretty normal, like when your family unit, the system of the family, or a couple or something, where you'll kind of pull from each other, and if you fight a lot, it means you're both low on energy, or one person's low on energy, and so you're constantly fighting over that energy. So there needs to be more energy downloads from soul source, from the current. So a lot of people think that energy vampirism isn't real. A lot of people think, and some people in the light working field, believe that you're really just cutting off a source energy, and that you're making that person feel bad, so they're blocking their own current. I don't really subscribe to that. I think that there is some of that. Yeah, absolutely. When somebody stresses you out, you have a hard time connecting with your soul source and your current. However, here's some other information for you. Okay, so my first introduction to energy was my friend Ben. My friend Benjamin was my best friend, and this was about 2000, the year 2000, 2001 or 2, maybe something around 2001, I think. So Ben and I just started getting to know each other. One of my friends in my circle, you know, and I'm sitting at Denny's late at night. You know, I was actually a server there in college and part-time, and he was actually sitting like across on the corner, right? We were in one of those big 6-seater booths, and so I'm sitting across from 2 people talking to him, and he's down there. And all of a sudden, I feel this energy pull come through my chest right here. It just went like this, and then I felt it go yank. Now, at the time, I didn't really believe in any of the energy stuff. I was like, oh, whatever, right? I didn't really know much about it. I was young. This was 16, 17 years ago, right? So I was in my early 20s, and I felt this like this awful feeling. It was a very physical feeling, like it just pulled, right? And it went that way, and I felt it. And when that happened, I just looked to where it was coming from, right? Because I wasn't paying attention. I mean, he was over there doing something, you know, reading probably, or something like he usually did, or messing with something. So I wasn't even paying attention. I was talking to these 2 people for a while, feel that yank, and I just look immediately at him, and he was staring right here at my chest, right there, right where I felt it. And I just went, what are you doing, man? And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Brandy. I was just playing with your energy. I've been learning about it, so I was pulling from you. And so tell me, try and just tell me that people cannot exchange or pull energy from other people. I disagree. All right, so that was my personal experience first. when that happened. And so he was like giving me all his stones out of his pocket, like, here, hold my stuff, maybe that'll help, I don't know. And he felt really bad, and he never did that again. And he is an awesome healer too. When we did Reiki together, we got our certifications together. He put his hands on my knee, and I had been limping for months. He put his hand on my knee, and he did some Reiki on it. Never had a problem again. He was very powerful, very good with energy. So if someone is able to manipulate energy like that, etheric energy, they can have a lot of clout, right? Now, there's another story by Dion Virtue. Not Dion Virtue. That's Doreen Virtue. Dion Fortune. All right, so Dion Fortune. She is a very famous psychologist and magician from the early 1900s. She knew Aleister Crowley and everyone, right? So Dion Fortune, one of my favorite people. She's actually one of the main reasons I got this tattoo. Her book on the atom was amazing. And then there was another book on the consciousness of the atom by another person anyways. But those are two of my favorite people, and they've taught me so much. And she taught me a lot about energy. Dion Fortune, if you read any of her books, you'll learn some of her background. And one of the things that happened to her is she was working under, a very famous, I think it might have been the Golden Dawn. She was working underneath a magical society, right? A secret society. And there was, I don't remember if I think this woman was in one of the secret societies because she knew what she was doing. And she ended up in the hospital because of her. She was energetically pulling her life force energy, her essence from her. She created tears in her energy field. And she pulled the essence from her. Just like I told you that my friend Ben was able to pull from me. She was pulling from her. And she physically caused her so much draining that she ended up almost dead. And she was in a hospital. She was hospitalized for a long time. And it was physical and mental anguish that she went through. And so she really went through a whole lot. And she tells the story, if you ever read her books, she tells that story, and it's very interesting. So again, tell me that people can't drain you or pull from you. I disagree. I truly disagree. What is a soul contract? So a soul contract, when you come into this lifetime, you have certain things that you are contracted to learn and to go through. So if, for instance, you need to learn how to value yourself, how to create your own value in life and your own self-esteem and confidence and take care of yourself, right? So that would be part of your soul contract. You can see it in your soul blueprint, which is your astrology chart. I can actually see that. I'm like, oh, look. One of the big things that you're learning this lifetime and experiencing is how to take care of yourself and to become, a person that is self-sustaining, so you don't rely on anyone. So people will come to your way that will either help you do that and say, hey, this is how you do that and teach you, or they'll come and they will cause issues and maybe they'll take care of you so much and make you feel so controlled that you have to get away from them and go take care of yourself. Right? So you'll have these contracts with other souls that will help you and you will help them to learn different things, right? Or, and to grow and to experience the things that your soul wanted to experience and learn in this lifetime. Because we're all the same consciousness experiencing itself from different angles, right? And that's why we're all connected. It's so easy to connect with anyone. I can easily connect with anyone. I can say, okay, how's this person doing right now? And throw some cards, and there you go. There's my answer. And I know that ethically, a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Well, you know what? I do that. I totally, if I want to pull on somebody, I pull on somebody. And that's, to me, if Spirit doesn't want me to know, then Spirit wouldn't let me know. But we're all connected, and we're all the same unit anyways. So if you want to know something about yourself, pull some tarot cards. You want to know something about someone else, pull some tarot cards. You should learn the cards before you do that. But but yeah, when you do divination systems like I do with, you look at astrology charts, or you pull tarot cards or runes, or the I Ching, which is my other favorite thing to do. You can get so much information about the balances of the energetic fields and what's going on with it. Does LBRP protect against vampires? Okay. LBRP downloads more energy. Expands your energy field because, again, it's opening the current, okay? And when it opens the current and it helps you remove negative energies from around you, that does help, because it's not going to necessarily just protect you from energy vampires, but it can help. And the good thing about it is it will change your frequency so that you're attracting more negative or more positive people instead of negative people. I noticed that big difference. Is the more LBRP I did, the more higher vibrations I would attract and the more positivity I would attract into my life. So it changes your vibration, it changes your energy field, it downloads more energy. It's always a good thing to do the Lesser Vanishing Ritual of the Pentagram. I use my spirit guides to help protect me as well as Mother Earth. Yeah, that's great. That's a wonderful way to do it. I love working with my spirit guides all the time. I love staying in touch with them. And Mother Earth is wonderful for helping your frequencies as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to learn about Reiki? You want to learn about... Okay, so thoughts and feelings. So thoughts and feelings when you're a negative vibration, when you have a lot of fear, a lot of problems, and you lower your vibration, right? You actually attract more negativity. Okay, you attract more vampires for sure because you're low vibration. So yeah, that can definitely happen. Okay, can spirits attach to you from random places? And what's the best way to stop bad energy from entering your home? All right, these are good questions. Yeah, spirits can attach to you. Anything can attach to anything. Like I was saying, I can read for somebody across the world. It does not matter where they're at. And then how do you protect your house? There's a lot of ways you can protect your house. I mean, it depends. Are you having something happen? Or are you just worried about it? Salt and sage, yeah. Salt and sage are definitely good ways to do it. Gritting, essential oils, sure. Keeping the vibration up in your home is always good. You know, keeping some plants in the home, doing some good LBRP work in there, doing some meditation work in there, not fighting in the house, not screaming and yelling. Do a little feng shui. Feng shui is always helpful for the home. Decluttering, yes, decluttering and cleaning the house is a wonderful way to do it. To open the windows in the morning and like sage the house is a wonderful way to do it. All right, so yeah, that's some ways you can definitely keep the negativity out of the house. If you're dealing with energy vampires, though, I always want to say, you know, just try to get your vibe up, and if you can, get them out of your life. If you can't get them out of your life, there's some other ways to deal with it, but it's mainly by meditating a lot, keeping your vibration up, staying away from it as much as you can, and changing the way that you view things. And if you're having negative thoughts, to let go of those negative thoughts, because that's also an attraction to a negative energy vampire. It can also be that you're just a bright light. And so think about it. If you're a bright light, they're going to want some of that light. Anyways, thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight. That's a little bit on energy vampires. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and if you ever have questions that you'd like me to address on my Wednesday night broadcast, I'd love to hear from you. Just send me a message and tell me what you're thinking, or you can even post it in Vibe Tribe. So Vibe Tribe Community on Facebook is my community, and we're super supportive. So I'd love to hear from you guys in there. See y'all later, lovelies.